Coming up, Shohei Ohtani keeps making highlights, and the Yankees use a near no-hitter to beat the Rangers. This is Locked On Now MLB.
The biggest games, the best performances, expert analysis. You are Locked On Now.
Welcome in. You're listening to Locked On Now MLB, local experts weighing in on the biggest stories in baseball. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. We've got our Locked On MLB host here to recap the action from Monday. We're going to start out with the Angels, who used new and familiar faces to beat the Rays in yesterday's biggest game.
The biggest game.
The Stars came out to play for the Angels yesterday. Noah Syndergaard on the mound and Shohei Ohtani belting a pair of home runs, including his first MLB Grand Slam. Our Locked On Angels host recaps the fun in LA.
Looks like we don't have to wait for Marvel to bring Thor love and thunder, because our Thor, Noah Syndergaard, and the Angels brought the love and thunder on Monday night against the Tampa Bay Rays. Hey everybody, my name is Mike Frisch, one half of Locked On Angels, and what an incredible game it was. Angels versus the Rays. Angels win 11-3, and it was an incredible pitching performance by Noah Syndergaard. 5 1/3 innings, 7 hits, 1 run, 7 Ks. He's our ace. He's our starter. He's helping the Angels to be legit. He brought the love, and the Angel bats, they brought the thunder. Jared Walsh hits a 3-run home run. Mike Trout hits a home run. Shohei goes back-to-back with Trout. He hits a home run, and then later in the game, he hits his first career grand slam, and the Angels win 11-3. They find themselves at 20-11, first place in the AL West, 1 game ahead of the Houston Astros, and they're playing the Rays on Tuesday. It's Reed Detmers against Corey Kluber. Let's go Halos. Light that baby up.
The Cincinnati Reds feeling pretty good after a second straight win and 3 in 4 games. Locked On Reds tells you what's gotten into the worst team in baseball as of late.
Back-to-back wins, right? 1, 2. Yeah, first time this year that the Cincinnati Reds have done that. Hey, this is Jeff Carr from the Locked On Reds podcast, here to tell you about how the Reds killed, murdered, destroyed, mutilated, completely obliterated the Milwaukee Brewers. Brandon Woodruff didn't have a clue. The rest of the Brewers pitching staff that is so good and so highly rated, whatever, destroyed by this Reds lineup. And we're not talking about Joey Votto. We're not talking about Jonathan India. Not even really Tyler Stevenson. He didn't have a good game either. And those other 2 guys weren't even in the lineup. No, we're talking about Colin Moran, who's got 3 homers in 2 days. We're talking about Brandon Drury, who's just been on fire. And, hey, Kyle Farmer, he broke the schneid. He was on a 34 at-bat hitless streak, and he clobbers a 3-run home run. Great night at the ballpark for the Redlegs. Nice that they give it back to the Brewers 10-5 after falling to the Brewers in the final game in Milwaukee 10-5. Although I don't know that they're going to beat the Brewers 18-4 tomorrow, but it's nice to see the Reds scoring lots and lots of runs. We're going to talk about that, and we'll review Luis Castillo's first start of the year. La Piedra looking pretty good. That's on tomorrow's Locked On Reds podcast.
The Cleveland Guardians won possibly the most exciting game of the season to date over the White Sox. Cleveland went into the 9th down by 6, but the game was far from over, and Locked On Guardians recaps all of the craziness.
What can I say that my first inclination is not to be family friendly, just because what a game. This is a backbreaker if you are a White Sox fan. I talked about that on the show tonight, an absolute backbreaker. Funny story, I started recording at the top of the 9th, and I started by saying, well, this game's basically over. Let's talk about what went wrong. And then Andres Gimenez hits a home run. And it keeps going, and I'm like, wait, now the bases are loaded. And I set to go to an ad break, and I then undo my ad break. And I'm like, I'm going to stick around to see what happens. And Josh Naylor hits that grand slam. He does, something that has never been done before. MLB history by hitting a grand slam and a 3-run home run, both from the 9th inning on. First they sweep the White Sox. Then they do this to them. I mean, this was just, the White Sox loaded the bases in the 9th and the 10th and couldn't put it away. 9th and 10th, and they had 1 run to show for that. The Guardians gave them some opportunities late, but what a fun team. What a fun team. What a game. If you didn't watch this one, you owe it to yourself. Go watch it, rewind, condense, at least from the ninth inning on. This is game of the year stuff right here early on in the season.
The Giants and Rockies faced off in San Francisco, and the Giants took the first game in the series between division rivals. Locked on Giants and Rockies recap the action from the West Coast.
Mauricio Dubon says, not so fast to those who want to see him DFA'd off the Giants roster. Ben Caspick with the Locked On Giants podcast. There's been a lot of that sentiment around, but I think people are missing the fact that he hasn't played a ton because the Giants haven't faced a lot of left-handed pitching, and that's his role, is to be in there against left-handed pitching. And historically in his career, he's done well against them. This year, his at-bats have been pretty good. He goes out there and hits a big home run tonight, hit one the other day, plays a good center field, can really pass at shortstop, and plays a really good second base as well. So he, to me, is actually kind of safe on this roster for now, given that he's out of options. He helps the Giants win this game tonight. And, oh, by the way, Carlos Rodon also helped the Giants win tonight. He had 12 strikeouts, I believe, in 6 innings. He was leading baseball in strikeout rate coming into the game, and I would imagine he's continuing to do so after tonight's game. So a nice win for the Giants, 3 in a row. They improved to 17-12, and they beat an overperforming Rockies team that came in with the same record. I don't think that's going to last for them. So we'll break that all down on tomorrow's Locked On Giants, where it's your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans. Paul Holden here from the Locked On Rockies podcast. Well, some late fireworks, some big heroics in the end, but unfortunately the Rockies fall short in San Francisco and can't bounce back from the Giants scoring in multiple innings, which the Rockies haven't seemed to be able to do. The Rockies do score in 2 innings in this one, and some late heroics and some balls being thrown around at the end, sure. But the Rockies held off the scoreboard for most of the game yet again, even though tying the Giants with hits at 11. Austin Gomber giving up some damage there early in the first and in the third, and again in the sixth. But Rockies, unfortunately, again, not able to bounce back offensively. Just kind of stuck in the mud on the road. Had an opportunity there to early with some traffic. Jonathan Dawson, nice runners in scoring position drive to put the Rockies in one, but then that's kind of it from there for the rest of the game until the end there, where the Rockies have some life at the end yet again, which is a good sign for the club. But Giants take the first one. Hopefully the Rockies can get one in this series before falling another game behind on the road. We'll talk about it all here on Locked On Rockies.
The Phillies shut out the Mariners, and the Diamondbacks keep beating the Marlins. This is Locked On Now MLB. Today's episode of Locked On Now is brought to you by Built Bar, the best tasting protein bars in the market. They are high in protein, low in calorie, low in sugar, but made with 100% real chocolate, so they taste delicious. There's also new Built Bar Puffs bars that include protein-infused marshmallow, and of course, there's 12 dozens of different flavors that you can try out as well. So if you head over to Built.com and use our promo code LOCKED15, you get 15% off your order. Just use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off your order at Built.com. Welcome back to Locked On Now MLB. I'm Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. Now, we're going to get you everything you need to know from baseball. The Phillies beat the Mariners badly in yesterday's best performance.
The best performance.
Hold up.
Locked On Phillies has been desperately waiting for the Philly lineup to show up, and they did that on Monday. Phillies dominated the Mariners at the plate and on the mound.
What a dominant win for the Philadelphia Phillies over the Seattle Mariners. I'm Connor Thomas, host of Locked On Phillies. Man, I'll be honest with you. These West Coast games, they're late. It's tough to stay up for them, but it makes it a lot easier when the Philadelphia Phillies do something like that. They win 9-0. They shut out the Mariners. The offense wakes up a little bit. Gene Segura, 3 RBIs, a couple guys with 2, some homers in the game. Ranger Suarez goes 6 innings, only allows 4 hits on the way to blanking the Seattle Mariners, a staff shutout, and that's the bounce back that the Philadelphia Phillies needed. Joe Girardi said, as they were getting ready to go on this West Coast swing, hey, maybe it's good for us to get away from home a little bit. And I thought, yeah, sure, or whatever, dude. Well, maybe he's right, because first game away from home for this West Coast swing, and, well, the Phillies looked like a totally different team. They're not the Mets when I'm talking about the Seattle Mariners, but we'll take any win that we could get regardless of opponent quality. A good one for the Phillies tonight. Let's go get another one tomorrow.
The Diamondbacks haven't lost a game to the Miami Marlins yet this season, picking up a 4th win on Monday. Our Locked On Diamondbacks host tells you the details as Arizona continues to own Miami.
The D-backs own the Miami Marlins after another victory Monday night, 4-3. Miller Thomas of Locked On Diamondbacks here. I don't know what it is, but the D-backs have owned the fish all season. They swept them in a series last week, and tonight started like how last week ended, with the win. We got a little bit of everything from the D-backs tonight. Humberto Castellanos, he looked fine out there on the mound, 5 1/3 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, allowed a few walks as well. Ketel Marte kept that hit streak alive. He's now sitting at 9 games after a home run and a single tonight. Dalton Varsho drove in Alec Thomas, a phrase we hope to say for years to come. And then we also saw Mark Melancon in the 9th inning. The last time we saw Mark Melancon, he imploded in Saturday night's loss, but tonight he had a great bounce back game and shut down the 9th inning. Once again, the D-backs, they have owned the Marlins all season long, and I hope they can keep it going tomorrow.
1 run was enough for the Yankees in the Bronx yesterday, thanks to outstanding pitching from Nestor Cortez. Locked On Yankees says the Bronx Bombers have their ace, while Locked On Rangers is just happy to be done with yesterday's shutout.
This is Stacey Gotsoulias of Locked On Yankees, and the Yankees beat the Rangers 1-0 in the series finale. What a series! 3 games in less than 24 hours. And the Yankees held the Rangers to 5 runs in those 3 games in their Little League park. Nestor Cortez Jr. was the star today. He threw 7 1/3 innings, gave up 1 single solitary hit, walked 4, but also struck out 11. When I say that Nestor Cortez Jr. is the Yankees' ace, I'm not kidding. The Yankees' offense has been quiet the past few days. Methinks Mother Nature's 3 days off did not help them in any way, and hopefully they will snap out of it soon. But 1 was enough today. Thank you for that, Anthony Rizzo. Your 22nd run batted in on the year. The Yankees on the day were 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. So yeah, they eked out a win, but they won their 6th consecutive series. I will have a recap of the entire series on the next Locked On Yankees.
The Baltimore Orioles won their series with the Royals, and all of a sudden they're on a hot streak. Our Locked On Orioles host recaps the final from Baltimore.
Connor Newcomb, host of Locked On Orioles here, coming to you from another tough Volo softball loss for the team, but it was not a loss for the Orioles today. They take the series over the Royals with a 6-1 win. How about Tyler Wells? Brandon Hyde said last week, don't expect Tyler Wells to even last 5 innings in most of his starts this year because of his inning limits, just to keep him healthy this year after he was a reliever last season. He goes 6 innings, throws just 75 pitches, gives up just 1 run. The stuff looked good. Tyler Wells is a legit starting pitcher for the Orioles this year. And hey, the offense had 1 big inning, scoring 6 runs in the 5th, and that was enough to take the series. Orioles in 4th place in the division have won 6 of their last 9. With Adley knocking on the door, things are looking up in Birdland. But we'll break down all of that on Tuesday's episode of the Locked On Orioles podcast.
Locked On Royals knows Casey needs to win a series against teams like the Orioles to have any chance this season. So he goes over what went wrong for Kansas City in this one.
The Kansas City Royals lose to the Baltimore Orioles and lose the series in Baltimore. These are not series you can drop if you want to convince your fan base that you're trying to win baseball games, as the Royals get rocked 6-1 in Baltimore and only pick up 6 hits as a team. Salvador Perez, the only hitter with 2 hits, although it's his 2nd straight really good game, 2nd straight day with good games because there was a doubleheader on Sunday. Maybe he's coming out of that cold streak, but it doesn't much matter whenever everybody else is having a terrible start to the season. Where the Royals go from here, find out on Locked On Royals, wherever you get your podcast from.
That's going to do it today on Locked On Now MLB. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. Make sure you check out Locked On MLB and your team's Locked On podcast. I'm Kainani Stevens. This has been Locked On Now.